Paradox fired Colossal Order. They're calling it mutual, but it's not. Welcome to Critical News. This is all the strategy gaming news you need to know this week. Cities Skylines gets taken from the studio that made it successful, Sins of a Solar Empire 2 drops its biggest update yet, and Hearts of Iron 4 releases another Pacific Theatre expansion. Last week, Paradox and Colossal Order announced that they're parting ways. Development of Cities Skylines 2 is moving to Iceflake Studios from January 2026. The press release frames this as mutual. They think we're stupid. Nothing about this is mutual. Let's look at the facts. Colossal Order built the entire Cities franchise. Cities in Motion, then Cities Skylines, a game that sold millions and spawned dozens of expansions over a decade. They made Paradox significant money in the city builder space. Cities Skylines 2 launched broken in late 2023. Performance issues, missing features, and bugs everywhere. I played it for 10 minutes before going back to the original. The console versions were delayed indefinitely. The Beach Properties DLC got pushed back and refunded. They then spent 2 years trying to fix what should have worked at launch. When Bridges and Ports released a few weeks ago, it looked like they might have turned a corner, except Paradox had already decided it was over. Once Colossal Order wraps up the bike patch, some old town buildings and asset mod support, they're done. Iceflake Studios takes over, a studio wholly owned by Paradox. Iceflake's only experience even close to a city builder is surviving the aftermath from 2021. They've not been given the Cities franchise because of their capability. This is about control and monetization. Paradox wants a studio they own completely, not a partnership where they have to negotiate. An internal studio means direct oversight of timelines, budgets, and DLC strategy. Colossal Order gets to say they're pursuing new projects and challenging creativity into a long-term vision, but the translation is, we got dumped and we're trying to save face whilst figuring out what comes next. Independent developers keep getting pushed out. Publishers consolidate control. EA did it, Activision did it, and now it's Paradox. The developer scene continues to erode. Studios that built franchises lose them to parent companies who want tighter profit margins and faster content pipelines. Profits are being prioritised over players. Iceflake inherits everything: updates, console ports, future expansions. They're starting from a codebase they didn't build for a community that doesn't know them. Colossal Order disappears from the franchise they created. The relationship was one of the longest running partnerships at Paradox, past tense. That's how things end. 15 years of collaboration, millions of sales, a passionate community. None of it mattered when the spreadsheet said internal control would be more profitable. Fare thee well, Colossal Order. Go fully independent and make the city builder of our dreams. Sins of a Solar Empire 2 gets version 1.5 on December the 10th, the Diplomatic Repercussions update. Stardock calls it going out with a bang for 2025, and they're not overselling. This changes how the game works at a fundamental level. The diplomacy system got completely reworked. AI players now consider multiple factors when choosing allies instead of following simple scripted behaviour. You can trade influence and items. The system has complexity now instead of being a checkbox feature. 4X games live or die on whether the AI feels like it's making decisions or just following a flowchart. Too many strategy games have diplomacy systems that exist in name only. You click buttons and, as Tim would say, big number go up. But nothing feels meaningful. Stardock rebuilt it to create dynamic relationships that change based on how the game develops. Diplomacy is not the only feature getting a fix as part of this update. Quick start options let you determine initial conditions. Do you want to replay building from nothing? Start with a light factory. Do you want to skip the tedious opening? Begin with planets and fleets already established. Adjustable starter conditions should have been there at launch. Better late than never. AI improvements mean opponents react to changes throughout the match. They make better decisions across the board. That's intentionally vague language from Stardock, but it means that the AI adapts to player strategy instead of running predetermined build orders. A full economic rebalance moves more economy into orbit instead of on planets. This changes where you invest and how you defend. The tech tree got decluttered, similar subjects are now grouped together, and research pacing has been adjusted so you don't need as many research stations to reach higher tiers. These are fundamental changes to game flow. Moving economy off planets means different target priorities. Adjusting research means different tech paths become viable. The changes restructure core systems instead of just tweaking numbers. The updated mod UI provides more information and faster performance. Download progress bars for large total conversion mods. Orbital shuttles add a visual element travelling between population centres. That last one is pure immersion. It doesn't affect gameplay, but it makes the galaxy feel more alive. Stardock has been iterating steadily through 2025. This update represents the biggest single push. They're treating the game as a live service without calling it that. Regular improvements, community feedback integration, free content drops. That's how you build a community around a 4X game in 2025. The game already worked, this update makes it better at being what it's supposed to be. Hearts of Iron 4's latest expansion released last week, No Compromise, No Surrender, focusing on Japan, China and the Philippines. New military doctrines, expanded faction systems, updates to naval combat. Another $25 expansion for a game that came out in 2016. Japan gets new historical and ahistorical paths with an imperial influence system. Both nationalist China and communist China get new focus trees. The Philippines finally gets a full focus tree instead of being ignored. Warlord factions split even further as regional controls get more granular with every expansion. There are 67 new models and 54 updated ones. There's 10 new music tracks. The usual content expansion Paradox does for Hearts of Iron. More decisions, more paths, more alternate history branches to explore. The faction mechanics got completely rebuilt. Shared intelligence between allies, faction rules to govern behaviour, faction goals covering short, medium or long-term objectives. Over 60 rules and 150 goals. The new faction theatre system lets you coordinate with allies properly. You can organise multinational operations instead of watching allies wander off to do random actions while you're trying to execute a plan. Military doctrines got replaced entirely. New system, 23 new sub-doctrines, just in this expansion. Naval combat received updates focusing on carrier mechanics. Carrier stances now let you control how many planes stay back to defend your task force versus how many go on offensive operations. Naval gameplay needed that kind of granular control. The naval changes go deep. Fleet home bases determine operational range now. They added automatic home base selection because manually managing that for dozens of fleets would drive you insane. Naval supply hubs extend how far your fleets can operate. Naval headquarters let you assign admirals to provide bonuses to any fleet operating in range. Special projects add new ship types. Support ships unlock repair vessels that give your damaged ships a chance to survive instead of sinking. Escort carriers provide cheaper carrier support for convoy escort and auxiliary roles where using a fleet carrier feels wasteful. Submarine carriers let you launch planes from submarines while the sub itself still fights like a normal submarine in naval combat. These change how naval strategy works. Paradox has run the same pattern for 9 years. Release the game, support it with regular DLC, charge $20 to $25 per expansion. Each one shifts the meta around, strategies that worked before become obsolete, new paths open up. The base game goes on sale constantly for a few dollars. The complete experience costs hundreds if you want everything. The free update includes economic rebalancing, research changes, UI improvements and performance optimizations. You get benefits without buying the DLC, but if you want to play as Japan, China or the Philippines with any of the new content and mechanics, you pay the $25. Hearts of Iron 4 has followed this model since 2016. Another expansion drops, another $25 gets added to the total cost, another round of forum arguments about what should have been in the base game. If you're still playing after 9 years and a dozen expansions, you're probably buying this one too. If you stopped playing years ago because the DLC model annoyed you, nothing here will bring you back. The content exists. Paradox delivered what they promised. Whether you want to pay for it depends on how much you're still invested in Hearts of Iron 4. Now that Cities Skylines 2 falls under full Paradox control through Iceflake, expect this same pattern. $25 expansions every few months, content packs in between. The base game is a platform for endless monetization. That's what internal control gets you. That's why they wanted it. And now for the headlines. Tempest Rising got nominated for Best Sim Strategy Game at the Game Awards 2025. Old-school RTS games rarely get this kind of mainstream recognition anymore. Age of Empires 4 won the category in 2021, Company of Heroes 3 got nominated in 2023. That's 3 RTS nominations in 5 years. The genre is barely on the radar. The game launched to decent reception. Classic base-building RTS in a genre most people declare dead. GDF vs Dynasty, campaign and multiplayer built by a team that understands what made Command & Conquer work. Civilization 7 also got nominated despite its questionable reception. The category always mixes pure strategy with strategy-adjacent games. Having an RTS there at all means someone at the Game Awards acknowledged the genre still exists. Voting runs until December the 10th. If you want RTS to get more attention, vote. Link in the description, and you can also check out our interview with Tempest Rising game designer Brandon Castile. That's on the screen now. Atre Dominance Wars hit its Kickstarter goal, which is promising for a hybrid RPG RTS focused on magical battlefield domination. The game features 4 race-specific magic specializations, god-level spells, and multiple victory paths in what sounds like an ambitious blend of 4X mechanics with story, campaign, and strategic combat. Ironward Studios brings credibility to the project through their experience with the Red Solstice franchise, proving they can deliver complex projects. The base game already exists in playable form with a demo available on Steam, meaning the Kickstarter funds are going towards campaign content and polish rather than building from scratch. The development timeline puts alpha in January, beta in March, and a full release in 2026, which is aggressive by most Kickstarter strategy game standards. The main risk with hybrid genre games is doing multiple things adequately instead of one thing well, and 4X with story campaign has been attempted before with mixed results. However, since they're not starting from zero and already have the tools for campaign creation, the timeline becomes more believable even if it's still ambitious and risky. Beyond These Stars pushed early access into 2026 after Balancing Monkey Games decided the game needed more time based on testing feedback. This space city builder has you constructed on the back of a sentient space whale, and the delay allowed them to expand mechanics and rewards with new buildings, perks and player guides. Building placement and pollution now have greater impact on gameplay, with your actions affecting the space whale's biome and behaviour in meaningful ways. Treat it badly and resources shrink, creating moral consequences beyond standard city builder expansion. The universe includes other locations like outposts on asteroids and resource extraction sites, with other civilizations judging you on how you treat your host creature. The demo has been updated with these changes if you want to see where development currently stands. Early access delays are increasingly common, and after Cities Skylines 2 launch, it's hard to argue against taking more time over launching broken. The same patterns are playing out. Publishers want control, developers iterate, DLC continues. Some games get noticed and some don't, and sometimes, after 15 years of partnership, a spreadsheet decides it's time to cut ties. That's it for this week. See you next time. Take it easy. Goodbye.